Africa takes some knowing. You should all get your knees brown.
And scold Dr. Schweitzer.
48 hours, that's all I need.
Oh, beg pardon, Caswell. I wasn't talking about natural geniuses.
Yes, well, here's one genius who'd rather not know. For all I care, Megalia can rot in its own groundnuts.
And that's why Land of Hope and Glory became a funeral march. What do you say, Ken?
Sorry, I wasn't,
Mr. Bligh, please.
I'm Bligh.
Mr. Kenneth Bligh. You will leave on this evening's flight for London, Mr. Bligh.
Well, I think you'll find this will be settled before then. The order revoked.
Here, let me look at it.
I'm sure you'll find it'll be taken care of.
If you wouldn't mind your parking, Mr. Bligh.
Oh, damned if I'll come now.
Well, there's nothing here to say that you must wait till my son. Who are you, anyway?
I am the Chief Immigration Officer, Mr. Bligh. It's no concern of yours who my colleague is.
You know who I am?
Oh, yes.
I'm the chairman of the United Kingdom National Export Board. At this moment, a member of my staff and the joint managing director of my son's company are at Government House. I have reason to believe with your Prime Minister.
As long as we leave here by 6 then, Mr. Bligh.
Well, I'm not going in, it's flat.
Oh, there's time now. We'll work this out.
Let me see that, Caswell. Never seen a deportation order before.
I'd chuck you out of the UK.
I thought Sir Johnny Wilder was fixing this anyway.
Stop licking your lips, Haggadan. He is.
What Mr. Kenneth Bligh did was ill-advised, Prime Minister. I'm not here to excuse him, only to ensure that Blighs are still in the running for the contract. One might say, I suppose, that the completion of your high dam, with the Russians, Chinese, and now I hear the Americans involved, led young Bligh to adopt the methods that he did.
He's a victim of the Cold War.
Well, now he can go back to London. We shall also deal with him there.
Mr. Bligh is fortunate that he's only being deported. We could have put him on trial, Sir John. The country is deeply sensitive about corruption just now. In other circumstances, Mr. Bligh could have been in serious trouble.
If Kenneth Bligh used illegal inducements with your minister, Mr. Loquay, he did it on impulse, and certainly without my knowledge or approval.
There is no if about it, Sir John. Ask Mr. Loquay to come in here, please.
Well, you know Loquay better than any of us.
Well, not that well, Ken. It's not that I don't want to help.
Well, I see the logic even if you didn't. I mean, you are a competitor. I mean, Ken's, I mean.
And you, Father?
My hands are tied, Ken, you know that. You can't have the chairman of a British government body intervening in a thing like this.
You dirty your official hands, yes, I know. I stand more chance of getting a Chinese to help.
Well, my advice, Ken, and believe me, I know what I'm talking about out here, is to go quietly.
Well, at least Wilder's doing what he can.
You'll believe anything.
And you, Don, you're hardly bubbling with ingenuity.
Given your chance, I'll be out of this dump clutching my deportation order like a winning pool's coupon.
Ken! Haggadan, right. I wouldn't depend on Wilder for anything.
No, I'm not relying on anybody.
Better not make a fuss. In the general interest.
Or in yours.
Oh, don't fret. I'll keep an eye on Wilder.
Yeah, it suits you perfectly, doesn't it, Father? Me out of the way, leaving you to fight Wilder. The great confrontation. And you clinch your job carrying more prestige than the United Nations. You against Wilder, you against the world. For Britain, not for Blighs. Well, remember this, Father. Africa's mine. You agreed it, so did Wilder. And remember this. Even by being here, let alone getting yourself up to here, you're going back on your commitment when you took public office to abandon your private business interests.
Who should say what's public or private in my world? Pack up and go home, Ken. With dignity.
No, Father, I'm staying.
Not strictly according to plan, was it?
What's that, Donald?
I wasn't born yesterday. Who was it who told us that Loquay wasn't averse to the perks of office? Who said it was just a question of how big the villa on the Riviera was, that's all?
Didn't have the finesse, Donald. Or the timing. You don't go around grandly offering backhanders when everybody's beating the big drum about corruption in high places. Cheers.
You meant John to fall into it.
You know, Donald, you're craftier than you look. Now, don't tell me, Caswell. He decided to be a good boy.
Don, call Government House and find out when Sir John and Miss Weldon are leaving the Prime Minister's office, will you?
I'll have a siesta and get lost in the bush as well, if you like.
Thank you, Don. All right, Frank. Let's start by assuming that your friend, the minister without portfolio, your Mr. Loquay, knows what he's about.
Polishing his reputation, you mean? How I refuse to be bought, all that jazz.
You know what I'm getting at.
Cafe Loquay's ambitious. It always has to be somebody. I'm sorry it had to be Ken.
Rather than Wilder. You meant it, Wilder.
I plead the Fifth Amendment.
Wilder's now forgiven your affair with Pamela, has he?
I thought it was the National Export Board you were with, Caswell, not marriage guidance.
He's top of your blacklist.
It's politicians who make blacklists, Caswell.
I know how you tick, Frank. You set a trap for Wilder, and Ken fell into it.
He's got eyes. He's over the age of consent.
So's Wilder.
By many a long year.
How much, Frank?
You need a drink, Caswell.
How much? To fix Loquay.
They're the masters now, Caswell. In their own backyard, at any rate. Loquay's got the usual politician's disease, obsession with his image. And if the heat's on about kickbacks, Cafe Loquay's on the side of the struggling black masses, unbowed and unbent.
He's still in your pocket.
Why should you assume that we are more easily bought than your own ministers in Britain?
Do I assume that?
It's implied, Sir John.
There's no dealing with prejudice. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Wait, Sir John. Mr. Loquay meant no offense.
My apologies, Sir John. I naturally have an African chip on my shoulder. I do not associate you with your colleague, Mr. Kenneth Bligh's lapse.
And don't intend to make a feast of it, publicly?
That will depend. It's a matter of policy.
If it is made public, Bligh's couldn't possibly be in the running for the contract. We're wasting your time and mine, Mr. Prime Minister.
Someone has to finish the high dam. That means more to the people of this country than any story about a mere minister declining an inducement, which half the people of this country wouldn't believe anyway.
There'll be no publicity, Sir John, as long as Mr. Bligh leaves quietly. Nobody's closing the door on you or your company.
Of course we give millions to Magalia, Mr. Bligh, but that doesn't buy us any rights to interfere in her immigration policy.
I wasn't talking about immigration.
It is an immigration matter that you have been deported. Now, the best course you can take, and I say this with some regret and a deep sense of the possible injustice being done to you, is to accept the decision with good grace and go. I could not guarantee either your comfort or your freedom should you resist.
Death-bound zombies of the world unite.
You're overwrought, Mr. Bligh. Let me give you a whiskey. It's rather a special...
You're High Commissioner here, Sir Trevor.
For my sins.
Representing British citizens.
I sometimes wonder. They're not the British I used to know.
Well, I'm a British businessman doing all I can to win a contract for Britain, as well as my own firm. A contract for a high dam that's already attracting the attention of the world. And here you are, having already held me up half an hour because of your siesta. Now telling me that you're powerless to help.
Not powerless, Mr. Bligh, disinclined in the circumstances to support you.
You're aware that my father's over here?
And Sir John Wilder. I would have thought your company already somewhat over-represented.
My father will have something to say to the minister about all this on his return.
Your father telephoned just before you came here. He felt that no good would be served by our intervening to prolong your stay in Magalia.
Oh, never again. Here I am introducing a firm, one of whose managing directors tries to bribe a minister, and the other one throws ultimatums round like some latter-day Cecil Rhodes. Would you have been so disagreeable if they'd been white?
Would you have been so humiliating? What do you make of Loquay?
Nothing.
They say he's the strongest challenge that Cabela's got.
Really?
For a civil servant who hopes to be a dame one day, you're remarkably inarticulate. If the climate's getting...
Climate? It's not the bloody climate, it's you! I'm taking the next plane home, John.
Well, don't look at me. You're not here in your own time for me. You're here in the NEB's time, officially, for Caswell.
I'm a civil servant, John, not a contact woman.
And tell him.
We'll all hold hands and sing Auld Lang Syne.
Oh, no, please. The locals might take it for a marching song.
Well, have a jug for me at the King's Head.
When you're ready, Mr. Bly.
Well, if I were to thank you all for all you've done on my behalf, I'd be a damn liar, so I won't. I know you did all you could, Father.
Give my love to Jayston and the children. There's nothing stopping us going to see him off at the airport, is there?
No objection, Mr. Bly.
Frank, would you like to come with us?
Why not? I'd be lost here with only Wilder for company.
Where is he?
Well, he's in the bar, I think.
With Miss Weldon.
Well, see you in town, John. Sooner or later.
Yes, it's about time somebody went back to keep an eye on things.
Ansel, there was a chance you'd be on the same flight, Miss Weldon.
It's a frail one at best, Kenneth.
Well, don't let them bully you. I know what they're like.
What are you on that infeld, Frank? You know I didn't bring you out here to make fond farewells. How much they pay you?
Well, my salary's not very revealing.
And exes then, all told.
If you want a round figure, 15,000.
Round enough. We'll make it 18, with the usual built-in tax avoidance. No? What do you say?
Nothing. Yet.
We're going to need a good joint managing director at Blythe, Frank. Someone who knows all the tricks and doesn't lose sight of which side he's on.
You have two already.
Not for much longer.
I thought you surrendered your chairmanship of Blythe, Caswell, and all other private interests.
It wouldn't be my appointment, it would be the board of Blythe. My son, as you've no doubt seen, still has a lot to learn.
And his present teachers leading him into bad habits? Like bribing ministers?
Like not making sure they'll accept before making his offer.
You mean you can't, or you won't?
I am unable to meet your request, Sir John, on two grounds. First, it would be inadvisable for Her Majesty's government, in the person of myself, to become involved in a commercial matter with doubtful overtones.
And the other?
Simply that any dossiers held here by my commission would come under the Official Secrets Act.
You do have one on Loquay.
A member of your company has already embarrassed my commission and damaged the British image here.
Poppycock! Kickbacks are common currency here. You know the password's a loaded wallet.
Young Bligh must have had the wrong currency. You don't see the political undercurrents as I do, Wilder. And you all seem to have forgotten that Naranda is the Minister of Public Works. He signs the contracts.
On Loquay, say so.
Even you, with your profound knowledge of this country gained during the last 5 days, can't say that.
He has the Prime Minister's ear.
He wants the Prime Minister's head.
Does it concern you that the Chinese or the Russians could easily pick up that contract?
Deeply, though my money would be on the Americans. You see, this is no longer merely commerce, Wilder. It's all part of the East-West brawl.
Does London know that you fancy the Americans?
They could hardly not know, in view of my reports.
And Loquay, what about a regular meeting?
Out of the question at the moment, Wilder, not on. You'll have to try again yourself.
He's always out to me. Busy.
You can bet that he's busy, all right. He's busy, all right.
How should I know who's behind the Americans coming?
Well, they've not come to play basketball.
Or were they just passing this way? I know.
Just so long as I know where we stand.
Frank, I don't want the Russians or the Chinese to get the job. But I don't want the American CIA getting up to its tricks here either.
Well, somebody doesn't mind. What about Kabola?
Prime Minister's last to suck up to the Americans.
It's just that I've a feeling it's slipping away from us, that's all.
I see now why all you whites are on pills. Patience, Frank. Something is bound to happen fairly soon. Probably sooner than you think.
Well, you're the minister.
Well, that may well be, Caswell. All the same. Hello. The Russians must be coming.
Musical chairs.
As long as they don't stop playing Russian roulette. Fancy being the victim of an up and a downer between the Russians and Chinese.
You haven't answered my question, Don.
Oh, really? Well, now, what were we on about before the great ideological dispute reared its ugly head?
Frank Haggerdan.
Oh, yes. Fearless Frank. Well, is no John Wilder, Caswell.
Of whom we've one too many now.
I didn't know I was that important. I mean, to deserve being consulted.
Well, you're on the board of Bligh's. You've got a vote. And perhaps a crucial one.
Well, in that case, yes, I think I could work with Haggerdan, providing, of course, there are certain conditions. If you think getting John out of the way is going to be as easy as this...
I know what I'm doing. Have another.
As Sir John holds your return ticket, Miss Weldon, one might naturally take the view that as a gentleman he might be persuaded to hand it over.
In big business, Sir Trevor, no such animal exists as a gentleman.
That rather puts me on the spot, doesn't it?
You could authorize the issue of another ticket and repayment of my hotel bill. I'd see it paid back immediately I get back to London.
Isn't this going a little too far? I mean, surely Sir John would never be so childish.
A tendency towards the juvenile is obligatory in men like him.
And Mr. Caswell Bligh?
Yes?
He is your chairman, Miss Weldon.
And increasingly confused as to where his public and where his private interests begin and end. And not a gentleman either. I'm throwing myself on your better judgment, Sir Trevor. I'm a distressed British female abroad in temporary need of funds.
Let's see what the regulations say, shall we?
Tell Mr. Loquay this is Sir John Wilder. I don't care whether it is impossible, just do it. Yes? Well, put me onto his personal assistant, then.
One doesn't want to be nasty, Don. But I suppose it could be you as well as Wilder.
I bet you've never had time to grow a carnation in all your life.
Roses.
Let me fix it, Meg.
Oh, well, I didn't really want it anyway.
Hello.
Right. You join us in momentous days, Miss Weldon. There is some civil disturbance involving the military. Now, it's unlikely anyone will want to sack the British High Commission where yesterday's target. However, it might be safer to remain here and not to return to your hotel until we know the strength of it and who the combatants are. Yes? I see. Thank you. Would you care for a drink? I don't normally at this time of the day, but as this seems to be developing into a rather special occasion...
Scotch, please.
That's as good as anything in lieu of an air raid shelter. I suppose you're not accustomed to being caught up in revolutions.
I knew I should never have come.
Ever been under fire, Don?
Only marital and professional.
I remember when I was in the army and the RE.
Oh, spare us the war history, Caswell. I've got a friend from the 8th Army and he stopped fighting Alamein 2 years ago.
Oh, of course, you'd have been reserved, the aircraft industry.
Do you suppose the all-clear's gone yet?
Let's have a look, shall we?
Thank you, Mosley. My ADC. The British Army has its uses, Miss Weldon. Cutting down east of Suez will make life less pleasant and comfortable for many. Ah, would you? Yes? Yes? I see. Yes, thank you. You'll keep me informed of anything new. It seems that your great friend, the Prime Minister, Mr. Jordan Cabolo, is in custody. Pity. Civilized chap. Who's got him isn't known, but it's a military coup led by a field marshal, who an hour ago was an acting major. Remains to be seen whether his promotion is confirmed.
Let's hope somebody won and it's not just half-time.
You're a pessimist, Don. Never mind, the company's got you well insured.
Oh, I never read the small print in insurance policies.
Well, have you made up your mind?
Hmm?
My offer, before the Blitz.
Do you know, I hadn't somehow got round to it. And I hardly have time to now.
Oh, the lift's working, so the electricity must be back on.
John, I thought they got you.
Do you know where Miss Weldon is?
I hardly know where I am.
Well, try the government departments. The Prime Minister's office first. If we get no joy there, the British High Commission.
But won't the phones be cut? I mean, a pretty shaky sort of revolt if they're not.
Who's talking about telephones?
Go round, you mean? But out there, but they're thirsty for blood.
Dodge them.
John, I wouldn't go out there for a George Cross and $1 million a year tax-free.
Well, I wonder if they're for us or against
You
us.
over to the left. You two over to the bar. And you two stay here. Your passports, please.
Might we ask what this is all about?
Look, will you just let me through and show it to him?
It's a safe conduct. For all of us. It's to get us out to the airport to catch the last plane out for a while. So, the sooner we're all packed... Thank you. Suit yourselves. Stay if you want to be soup.
Who gave it to you, Frank?
Father Christmas. You'd ask St. Paul for his identity card. Now, if one of you could tip off Miss Weldon?
Well, she told me she was seeing the High Commissioner.
Right. We'll pick her up on the way out to the airport. Give me the keys to Miss Weldon's room, Jimmy, please.
I'm not sure that's in order, Mr. Haggerton.
Come on, toss them over, Jimmy. Hang about then. Hide under your beds. Booze yourself stupid. But don't say I didn't give you the chance.
Sir.
Thanks, Jimmy. Well?
I'll be down in 5 minutes.
9-2.
John?
Who signed that?
I told you. The Archbishop of Canterbury.
For heaven's sake, John, he's offering us a free pass.
If you must see the ticket before you ride.
Loquay.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the other?
What does it look like?
I didn't know they had field marshals in the Megalian army.
They do now.
I suppose this lot have got any anti-aircraft guns?
Never mind the hardware, just you pray.
In a few moments, ladies and gentlemen, we shall be leaving for London. Fasten your seatbelts. Please make sure all cigarettes are extinguished.
I hope you're pleased with your work.
You still haven't explained to me why you went to the High Commissioner's.
I don't intend to. You didn't get me out of this. Haggerdan did.
Which is precisely... Where is Haggerdan?
Morning, John.
Miss Lingard, I said no callers.
Mr. Kenneth insisted, Sir John.
That's an odd verb to use of you.
That means I just kept going when asked to stop.
I'm very busy, Kenneth.
Quite a story. Last flight out. Yeah, never mind, it was really the last but one.
What is it you want?
Is it true that he drove you all up to the aircraft and you were all so panicky you didn't realize he hadn't boarded it himself?
He could have fallen out during the flight, for all it matters to me.
Ah, but I know he didn't. He survived. Well, somebody's using his name in vain. See, he not only made the best of a coup d'etat, but knew it was coming. We'll know for sure this evening.
Will we?
Mm-hmm. You and Father and I. And Haggerdan. You're at liberty to see the cable he sent this morning. It concerns you as much as anyone. In fairness, John, I should explain that Haggerdan and I had a kind of arrangement. If I got the contract, we'd bring his firm into the consortium. And if he got it, well, the same applies, but the other way around.
We're entering no partnership with infels. No joint venture, no consortium.
You are a bad loser.
Who's talking about losing? And if you take this Haggerdan garbage, you're softer in the head than I thought you were.
Aren't you even going to read it?
Get one thing clear, Kenneth. I run Bly's. I ignore scruffy bits of paper from disappointed competitors itching to get on our bandwagon.
The wheels came off ours in Megalia.
Yours, not mine. If Haggerdan thinks he's got Loquay in his pocket, and he thinks Loquay is in the driving seat in Megalia, he's in for a damned bumpy ride. Particularly now his new military friends in Megalia should have before them proof of his personal acquisitiveness.
Hmm?
Flown in from London last night. by a friend of his closest rival, Noranda, from the Megalian High Commission. It's odd how you can find out things about African leaders more easily in London than you can in their own lands.
Oh, if the gentleman values his neck, he'll keep his mouth shut. You clutch at straws, John.
The Americans will get the contract anyway.
The meeting this evening will be in the penthouse.
Which meeting?
You and Father and I and Haggadan.
There'll be no meeting, with Haggadan or without.
I convey your apologies for absence.
Aren't you forgetting something?
No, steer it back to me when you've taken a deep breath and read it.
Kenneth, did Caswell know about it?
About the meeting? Oh, yes, it was his idea.
He's becoming accident-prone.
Oh, I don't know, John. He might not be holding public office very much longer, so why bother to be furtive?
He'll never give that up. It's the greatest sop to Caswell's vanity since they invented hormone cream.
They might have to. The decision might be out of his hands.
Somebody has been to the minister with tittle-tattle, and I intend to find out who.
And I've told you. I will not be made the scapegoat for your failure, I beg your pardon, your firm's failure to land a juicy contract in Africa.
You asked to be returned to London officially.
Because I was sent out there officially on non-official business.
Oh, so it wasn't you?
I'm a middle-grade civil servant, Mr. Bligh, with no hotline to ministers. I asked the High Commissioner for a return ticket to London, and that's all.
And you've raised it with no one else since?
I have sent a minute to the permanent secretary.
You aim high.
It was in the nature of an SOS.
I don't like my staff screaming blue murder to permanent secretaries.
The minute was low-pitched and in line with civil service procedure. I'm as entitled to ask for a transfer as you are to ask for my dismissal.
A transfer?
I'm sick to death of being pushed around at the whim of you and Sir John. I have a life to live as well as a job to hold down.
Oh, well. Now I know why the minister spoke to me as he did.
I don't see how I can know. My minute only went to the permanent secretary after you'd summoned me to come over here.
Well, then the High Commissioner must have cabled.
About me?
Well, you were a British subject in distress, remember?
If ambassadors and High Commissioners reported to ministers on every distressed British subject abroad, the Foreign Office and the Commonwealth Office would have no time for their cocktail parties or their bridge.
Miss Weldon, somebody, not necessarily you,
thank you,
somebody has drawn the minister's attention to my visit to Africa and suggested in passing that my motives were private and personal, for example, Bligh's, and further that I misemployed you as a civil servant to further private business.
Don't look at me, Mr. Bligh.
Who, then?
Well, the minister can hardly not know that you've been to Africa, seeing it's all over today's papers.
I went to Africa as the chairman of the National Export Board, not for Bligh's. I know it, you know it, everybody knows it. So who told the minister otherwise?
You think Wilder's behind it anyway?
But he's your father.
Oh, it's not his birthday, is it?
You're becoming impossible. If you can't be loyal to him, who can you be loyal to?
If you can't be loyal to a father, how can you be loyal to a wife?
That's not what I'm saying. Ken, don't you ever stop to think what he does for you? That he's a widower. He's probably a lot more lonely than he lets on. He cares about the name of Bligh.
I saw it all very clearly coming back from Africa. I wanted Wilder with us in the beginning. I thought he'd persuade Father to call it a day. And I'd see that he didn't get big enough to steal our name.
And yet you're doing everything you can to discredit Cass publicly. I just don't expect me to understand.
I don't think he really knew what he was having to give up when he took public office. He thought nothing would change at Bligh's. He'd go on with his business interests as before, and nobody would notice. Well, they're all noticing.
Thanks to your splendid public spirit. I just hope you're going to accept it as reasonable when your son tries to smash you in public.
Josh, can't you see I want the old devil back at Bligh's? Priorities have changed.
Big company, look. Who's first for the chop? You're talking about Cass as though he's some piece of vulgar old furniture to be shunted here and there at your bidding.
I'm ready to welcome him back to Bligh's, red carpet and all.
Having just made a public knave of him.
He'll resign from the NEB. They'll find a formula, they always do. I want him back where, for the moment, he belongs, at Bligh's.
To chop Wilder.
No, industry needs you,
because
darling.
you can't.
He may be my father, remember you're my wife.
Drop me at the next taxi rank.
Well, what would Father say? He's dining us.
You'll find a convincing excuse. You're developing a talent for lying, black and white.
He especially asks that you should...
I mean it, the next taxi.
Oh, it's a big fight night. We'll be none free.
Paddington Station, then.
All right.
Why can't you do your own dirty work?
Well, Father's so much more suitable. Feels even more strongly about Wilder than I do.
Just mind he doesn't steer you out first.
No, I'm family. It's felt that another managing director should keep me in my place until it suits Father's book to let me have full control.
Wilder seems to be doing that well enough.
Only Father prefers someone else for the job. Hackadan. Just past the taxi rank.
I'd never have credited you with such taste, Caswell.
Don't be taken in by my face or anybody's. I didn't see you at first sight as manager-director material.
You're an old snob, whose second sight is more dependable.
All right, Frank. You've got the dam in your pocket and Loqua's sewn up. Now, how is he going to feel about Bly's joining your consortium?
Can you mean?
Well, he had my son thrown out, didn't he?
Forget it. It'll all be swept under the coconut matting.
What about the Prime Minister, Kabola?
He's ex, in no position to say anything.
Hello, Father.
Oh,
Frank.
Hello, Justine. Come in. You don't know Frank Haggerton, I think.
We last met on a plane coming back from Greece. Hello, Mr. Haggerton.
We cracked a bottle of champagne. We had something to celebrate.
You do well abroad, Mr. Haggerton. Don't they call you an away banker?
Ah, he's on a lucky run just now. How's Kofe Loque?
On a lucky run.
Still pure white under the skin?
Oh, don't be bitter, Ken. It's all forgotten.
Not by me.
Exactly as you like it.
Ken never gets it right.
All right, seems don't get one at all.
Oh, you know where it is. Help yourself.
You still with Infelds, Mr. Haggerton?
Yes, we are going in together. A consortium on the High Dam in Magalia.
Not that we're committed to this consortium.
We're committed, all right.
Well, that's news to this joint managing director. I take it you have consulted the other.
Wilder will conform.
I thought he'd been here by now.
Oh, he's delayed downstairs. Timing his entrance.
I suppose Mr. Loque asked you to convey his regrets to me.
He's not one to bear a grudge.
I am.
All for a dam in the middle of nowhere. I'd let the Russians or Chinese finish it.
It would have been the Americans if I'd left it to some of the British out there.
Look, if you mean Wilder or me...
I mean the British High Commissioner, Sir Trevor what's-his-name, Sir Trevor Toffee-Nose. You know, he showers 7 times a day and dries himself on a shrinking Union Jack.
Come in, Don. Come in. Ken, fix Don a drink.
Same as usual, please, Ken. Justine, Haggerton.
John.
There?
We're all here now, John.
Just a few minutes, Caswell, that's all.
Get your prayer mat out, Frank. He's coming.
Gaz, show me over the place. It's getting like the Last Supper in here.
Oh, I'm sorry, my dear. Of course.
Yes, and stand by your digestion pills, everybody. You're going to need them.
Never mind digesting pills. Somebody get the smelling salts out for Wilder.
Well, he's not even groggy, so don't start the count yet.
But you're not still in his corner.
I thought you were bowing to the winds of change.
No, Don is just trimming. Now that the push is on, just trimming.
Gaz.
Oh, I'm sorry. Come along, the grand tour. No trimming, Don. There's no going back now.
You don't have to go down with the captain, Donald.
Oh, I'm looking out another one, believe me. Nobody's sinking. The hole's been plugged.
Talk sense, Don.
You try to pinch his wife, and she tells you to go to hell. And so now you go for his job, and you can't even get that.
Have you come into a fortune, found a new job, or what?
Shan't keep you a few minutes, Justine. Whatever Caswell might say to the contrary is not enough business.
Why, you haven't stinted yourself, Caswell.
Well, I didn't ask you up before. They hadn't finished the kitchen.
Gastronomically speaking, aren't you allowing your appetite to endanger your health? If you needed a penthouse so badly, wouldn't it have been safer to have taken it anywhere else than rather on the top of Bly's, a firm which you're not supposed to be connected with as far as business is concerned, in view of your exalted public position?
It suits me. All the way down to the front office, if you like.
Isn't it time we came to the point?
You're as bad as your father. You're almost as bad as he is. You're only here because of your damn birth certificate.
Ah, stop blustering, Wilder. We're here to salvage what we can out of your botched job.
John is handicapped, Ken. Offer him a drink.
Very, very cosy. Who chose the pictures?
Bought out of my own pocket.
Just as well. Shareholders are a bit touchy these days about directors' indulgences. Not alone. Ex-directors. Nolan's and Lowry's come a bit expensive.
Well, if the inspection is over, I'd like to get on with what we came here for.
1, to consider entering a consortium with Haggedan's firm, Infels. 2, to consider whether Haggedan should take over my position as joint managing director of Bly's when his success in Magalia is more widely known. Turn the television on, Don. Like a lot of other things round here. It's new. It might not be dependable.
Don, look here. If you're
It's company property, like a lot of other things round here. I'd be the last to deny you your perks, Caswell. Even though you're no longer, for the moment, associated with this company. It's enough for me. Your present illicit position. If not, I hear, for the minister.
That's one dead duck, John. I saw the minister this evening, and he's accepted my explanation.
Did he tell you who put the question? Kenneth wants you back, Caswell. Back in the bosom of the old family firm. You as parent, and Haggedan as the old Africa hand. The rough diamond with the heart of rock. All right, Don. Turn it up now.
Hello again. Magalia. After renewed fighting there this morning, in which about 30 people were killed, the capital was reported all quiet. The former Prime Minister, Mr. Jordan Kabola, is still in custody. And this afternoon, the leader of the revolt, Major Muzali, now described as a field marshal, announced that another minister, earlier reported in league with those behind the coup, is being held on corruption charges. He's Mr. Kope Lokwe, former minister without portfolio. Only yesterday, Mr. Lokwe was with Major Muzali and other officers involved in the coup at a press conference held in Megalia's new hotel. Now, here at home, the Common Market debate. In the Commons this afternoon, MPs from both sides of the House complained that not enough time had been set aside to discuss the latest moves.
I don't think we thanked you for the safe conduct, Frank. Somebody may give you a medal. That's about all you will get. I take it that the board at Infels know of your generosity in offering us part of Magalia. Come on, Don. We'd better be going. Caswell wants to take his family out to dinner.